Hello and welcome back to Simple Money Podcast, Canada's own personal finance podcast presented in short and informative episodes. I'm your host, Matthew Seawick, also known as the Friendly Financial Coach. So many people across Canada find themselves in a similar situation, and it's so easy to happen. You spend hours doing your income taxes, filing throughout the year, preparing documents, double checking, and then finally sending it to the CRA. You probably feel pretty relieved, but maybe feel a little bit nervous at the same time. As you start putting everything away, a slip flies out of your folder and lands on the floor. You look at it, and it's one that you didn't include with your filing. Frustrated, you wonder what's next and if it's even worth your time to make the changes to your taxes. And I'm here to say that this is a pretty common occurrence. Tax slips or other pieces of information can easily be misfiled, lost in the mail, never issued at all, and much, much more. In some cases, you may have even discovered that you qualified for a tax credit or a tax deduction after the fact. So, as you could probably guess, today we're going to talk about how to fix your filed income tax return and what the process looks like. And this is a very stressful situation for many Canadians. And a lot of individuals that are put in this situation don't even know what the next step is. And the good news is that it's probably a lot easier to fix this mistake than you're imagining right now. The first step is to really just take a step back and wait until the CRA has finished reviewing your tax return and issued you a notice of assessment. This usually takes a couple weeks, and you can check to see if it's complete by logging into your CRA My account, waiting to receive a paper or online copy, or by calling the CRA directly. You know how you were probably told when you were young that problems just don't go away on their own? Well, that's actually not always true here. In many cases, the CRA may have already changed your tax return to reflect the missing information. And this is especially true if there's a tax slip that they already have in their records. This is really the best case situation, as you really don't need to do anything except to verify that you're happy with the results the CRA have updated. So what do you do if the CRA didn't clean up your mess? There are 3 different ways to file a correction: online at CRA My account, mailing a correction form, or sending a signed letter. The easiest and quickest of the options is through CRA My account. You simply find the change return option and make the changes for the tax year in question. Once you're in there, you then choose the tax line that you want to be updated and enter in the new amounts. Once that's done, you review it and send it out. The CRA says that this is the quickest option and only takes about 2 weeks. Further, you don't even need to send in any documents unless the CRA asks for them. The next option is to send in a T1 adjustment form. This is a simple 1-page form where you fill in your personal information, the tax line number that you want to change, the previous line amounts that were reported by the CRA, and finally the amended amount. You'll have to fill out a form for each tax year separately. And once this is done, you mail it into your local tax office with supporting documents. You can also write a basic letter to clarify the details of what you're doing if needed. And this method is stated by the CRA to take about 8 weeks. And I actually just went through the second stage of this process myself. I was helping a family adjust about a decade worth of taxes as their child was recently diagnosed to having a disability. And he also qualified for the disability tax credit. And what this meant is that in certain years, this tax credit could have actually be shared with the parents, and they would also be considered to be caregivers. So this actually led to a very large return. Now, the final way to amend your past taxes is by sending a detailed letter stating the changes of what you're doing and to have it signed. You'll also need to provide usual details like name, address, birth date, social insurance number, and more. You'll also need to provide the supporting documents for this option, like the second option, and this will also take approximately 8 weeks to be processed. And when it comes to deciding which option is best for you, typically the online option would be the best. Sending the letter, I would probably have to say, would be my least preferred option to use. Now, depending on which option you've chose, Once everything is completed, you'll either receive a notice of reassessment, and this will basically list the different changes that were accepted by the CRA, and they will send this to you if you were successful or partially successful. Or if they decline your request, they will send you a rejection notice. And this is a document that you can appeal if you see fit. So that's the process if you fudge up on your taxes. It's actually not as bad as many people think. It's pretty simple. But it's best to do it as soon as possible, as this can easily turn into a financial project that is put aside and forgotten about. So that's it for today's episode. A very short one. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you know anyone that may be needing to adjust their taxes, feel free to share this episode with them because it probably would help them out. If you have any questions, you could email me directly at info@ffcoach.ca. Take care and talk to you soon.